Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining today. I'm excited to share an overview of our AlphaLab program and some of the changes that we've made over the last several months. I want to highlight a number of benefits and features of the program, and my goal is to also make this interactive. So I'll run through the content, but if you have questions, feel free to chime in on the chat, and we'll get your questions answered as well. So with that, I'm going to get started. Thanks again for joining this afternoon. Here's the agenda for today. So first, I want to cover, there are a lot of options for founders in terms of early stage funding and early stage programs. So I want to start by first noting sort of, why AlphaLab, why, AlphaLab is differentiated from a lot of the other services in the market. I want to talk about our founder-focused program that we offer here in our Tech Forge facility, walk through our community-focused cohort experience, share some of the success stories of the portfolio. We've worked with almost 300 companies to date across the history of AlphaLab, and a lot of success stories. So I want to share a little bit of that with you. AlphaLab is a program of innovation work, so I also want to cover how AlphaLab fits into the broader Innovation Works ecosystem. Then we'll get down into the details of the application process, timeline, questions we ask, selection period, and this is an area where founders often have questions, so cover those, and then we'll jump into at least the last 15 minutes or so. I want to save for any Q&A. So why AlphaLab? If companies join our program are building high growth tech companies, and everything that we do in our program really helps build a foundation for founders who are aiming to grow these high tech businesses. As we'll talk about in an upcoming slide, our investment terms are some of the best across the accelerator industry. So we do take equity in the companies we support, and we fill the founders' time with this really immersive environment, working with other founders who are in similar situations, similar early stage companies. And we also surround founders with a lot of the expertise of our staff, and also a number of resources that I'm going to cover here in more detail. Our program is built around three main pillars, and if I could just take a quick step back, AlphaLab has been an active accelerator since 2008. We were one of the first 10 accelerators in the United States, and initially we're a traditional accelerator in that we offered a number of resources, skill training and tools to help companies grow. Last year, we spent a lot of time sort of rethinking our model. We met with over 60 of our program alumni founders, some who have gone on to grow very successful businesses, and asked them, if you were to do an accelerator program again, or if you were to design a new accelerator program focused on what's the most important attributes and features to our program, what would it be? And this is sort of the output of a lot of that research that we've done, is that founders have told us that, accelerators offer a lot of great resources and tools and skill building, sort of foundational skill building methods, but it really comes down to, number one, customers, helping us understand how to do customer discovery, helping us understand how to go to market, how to sell, how to, not only build sales skills, but also how do I reach my customers? How do I engage with real customers? So that's a core pillar of our program now. We've really doubled down on this attribute of our program. we help companies. We not only give them sort of training and tools that they need to sell, but also help prepare them for the customer journey. So really help them understand how to reach customers, how to interact with customers, and how to acquire customers. Our second pillar of our program is capital. This is the second thing our founders told us. We need a sustainable business, and we need to get our businesses to a point where we're at the bar where we can raise capital, but also that we're at the point where that we need to kind of build our skill set in order to and the tools that we need to go on the fundraising journey. So we've sort of changed our program to really focus on building sort of the compilation of these tools that are needed for fundraising. So through our sessions and through our programming, we help founders build an investor-ready data room. And what that means is think of all the tools that you need to raise capital. You need a great investor pitch deck. You need well-vetted financials. You need a financial model. You need your legal documents. You need a cap table sort of showing the ownership of all the owners of your company. All of the things that investors will require for next stage funding, we help companies prepare for that. And the third pillar, our alumni told us, is we really miss being part of that community. You know, when we left AlphaLab, it was a bit lonely for us. We were sort of on this journey by ourselves. And gosh, you know, when we were with AlphaLab, we were working with multiple founders who were at our same stage. We could share challenges with, we could share our wins with. So we've brought back the community model. And what I mean by brought back is the majority of accelerators today are fully virtual or have very few physical touch points throughout the program. We've found that founders like to be with each other, you know, to physically be around each other, to build relationships. So the majority of things that we do in our program are in our physical space. We have a space here I am today in Lawrenceville that houses a few of our accelerator tracks, and then our AlphaLab Health track has an office in Bellevue in Allegheny General Hospital. In both of those locations, we're really fostering this in-person community. Our program is cohort-based, so we run one roughly 5-month program a year. We'll get into the timeline of those programs on a later slide. That is geared to build these founder relationships. Founders are starting our program at the same time, going through all of our training, workshops, preparation for the next stage, and then ultimately our culminating event all together as a cohort. Accelerators as an average have grown, have scaled, and comparable programs like programs you've probably heard about on the West Coast and other well-known programs have scaled and work with sometimes hundreds of companies to a time. Our programs, our cohorts have 25 or less founders, and that's not even companies. These are, you know, right now we're working with 15 companies, some solo founders, some have, you know, 1, 2, or 3 founders, but very, very small cohorts, and even smaller when you think about the specific tracks that we offer in software. I'm going to talk about this later in software, hardware, life sciences, and robotics. Typically, you know, five or 6 companies in each of those tracks. So very individualized. We provide the sort of concierge experience that's tailored to the needs of founders. Our team also works in our space. So we offer this on-site program. Our team, we'll get to meet in a later slide here, are working in the same space as the founders, are helping them, coaching them along, and also, you know, with the other founders as well. We have this awesome office space that's offered to companies. So we have sort of like a focused place to work outside of all the activities that we do. For companies building physical products, or for companies building healthcare technologies, we have lab space. We have a machine shop for hardware robotics companies. These are world-class facilities that give companies access to prototyping tools to build first prototypes and MVPs. And while we support companies across many tracks, we do limit ourselves to being companies that are building technology solutions. So not necessarily deep tech, but part of our mission of Innovation Works is to support sort of the tech economy in Southwest Pennsylvania. So we are looking for differentiated technology companies across sectors where Pittsburgh thrives. Here's just an eye chart sort of showing the differences across our programs. I had noted Y Combinator, a very prominent accelerator, and Techstars. And you can look here and just see some of our offerings relative to these other programs. Some of the attributes I'll call out for AlphaLab is, the cohort size, very tailored, individualized cohorts. Our access to our lab and machine shop space, which is a differentiator. We're a single city accelerator. So when we look at our deep local ecosystem, we really specialize in Pittsburgh, and everything from our mentor base to the companies we work with, partner with, are all kind of embedded into the local ecosystem, which is different relative to these other programs. We provide dedicated post-program support through Innovation Works and our Innovation Works Seed Fund. And we offer, in addition to our customer and capital program, we offer this industry-specific programming. So if you're a hardware company, we offer specific programming along the lines of manufacturing and IP and other areas that are critical to growing a hardware company. And we have industry best investment terms. For our program, we accept 2% common equity in startups, which is far less than these competing programs. I mentioned the strength of our team, and we've built just a really awesome team here at AlphaLab that have comprised a background, very diverse backgrounds. My background is in venture capital. I worked for a VC fund here in Pittsburgh that was at its time the largest first-time fund in Pittsburgh. I took that experience and sort of changed my career into accelerator, managing accelerators. I've been with AlphaLab for over 11 years now, so have got to experience sort of firsthand the growth of our programs. We have Jordan Marinkovich, who leads our platform initiatives, is really responsible for connecting companies to our network, our founder network, our mentor network, our investor networks, and really helps with those connections and some of our programming as well. And Sarah and Damon and Maria lead our respective tracks, our software, hardware, robotics, and health tracks. And as you can see here, bring a great combination of industry experience, entrepreneurial experience, operational experience to our team. As I mentioned, we're a single city accelerator. We're truly focused here in Pittsburgh, and it's a very attractive place to grow a startup. Not only being one of the most affordable places to live, as I mentioned, we focus on the areas where Pittsburgh is strong. So when you look at manufacturing, when you look at life sciences, when you look at space tech, some of the other areas where Pittsburgh thrives, we've sort of dedicated the expertise of our program alongside those sectors, as well as obviously robotics, AI. In addition, as you probably know, leading universities, Pittsburgh is a small city that really punches above its weight class when it comes to entrepreneurial activity. Being one of the top 20 cities for venture capital activity. So we feel like we're in a very strong strategic competitive position in Pittsburgh to be able to offer our AlphaLab Accelerator program. And talk a bit about the cohort experience, like what it's like to work here in AlphaLab. As I mentioned, we do core programming. It's very a lot of what we do is analogous to partially like personal training and partially school. So our programming is a lot sort of like analogous to school in that we offer programs along sort of the critical dimensions of growing a business, everything from product management, marketing and sales. We equip founders with skills to sell their product and to think about fundraising and building sort of early financial models, and also understanding some of the pitfalls and traps that other companies have gone through our program and sort of misstepped in terms of finance and thinking about next stage capital raise. So we provide all of our curriculum in programming, which, as I mentioned, is the sort of in-person programming that we offer typically during the day, in the middles of the week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have a syllabus, and we offer programming in these areas led by experts in our region. In addition to that core programming, we also have concentrated tracks. So while we have one application for our AlphaLab program, companies select the track that their industry of their company is associated with. So what was initially our AlphaLab program has been rebranded to AlphaLab Software. So really and when AlphaLab launched, we focused mainly on software companies. So our AlphaLab Software track really focuses on companies in various software verticals, everything from software as a service to AI to fintech and other software applications. AlphaLab Software was the home for those companies. AlphaLab Gear was a program we launched in 2013 and was at its time one of the first hardware accelerators in the world. We've maintained our AlphaLab Gear program, our AlphaLab Gear track for almost 12 years now, had a number of exciting, successful companies come through that program. In 2020, we launched AlphaLab Health, which is a program in partnership with Allegheny Health Network. Allegheny Health Network is the largest hospital system here in Western Pennsylvania. And we have dedicated partnership and sort of in-house mentors and experts from AHN that support that program. And most recently, we've launched Robotics Factory, really focused on growing on Pittsburgh's leadership and strength in robotics companies. We've built a program specifically geared towards companies building robotic solutions, solving problems in the robotics space. And as I mentioned, we have a very, very nice machine shop for robotic startups to build early versions of their products.
Hey, Aaron.
Yes.
We have 2 questions in the chat related to tracks. Would you like to answer them now or wait till the end?
Yeah, I'll take them now.
So we have a local who's been living in Pittsburgh for 13 years and working on an app and software. Is that something that they can apply for?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we, in our our software track, we work with companies building apps. We really look for, as I'll get into later, some of our criteria, sort of, what problem you're solving, how big is that problem in the market. With our software companies, we're typically seeing at the stage of AlphaLab companies that have launched, that are in the market, that have early feedback from customers, sometimes early growth, but absolutely yes.
Thank you, Aaron. And we have one more question right now. Can someone be part of more than one track?
Companies choose a track, but get access to all of the features of all of the tracks. So let me give you an example. We have a couple companies in our health track that are building medical devices or building physical products, and they leverage our machine shop that's dedicated, that's sort of geared for our hardware and robotics companies, but still get access to that space, that opportunity as well. Similarly, we have a company currently in our AlphaLab software track that's building a software as a service platform for mental health practitioners. And there's some potential synergy with AlphaLab Health and our Allegheny Health Network. So we're facilitating those discussions as well. So, and you can sort of take advantage of some of the programming in those as well. But typically companies have sort of one dominant industry, and we want founders to select a concentration, just like, when you're in college and you want to study a lot of things, you're still concentrating and sort of, in an area. So that's sort of how we think about our tracks.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Those are all the questions we have now.
Great. Move forward here. Let me talk just a little bit about each of our tracks. As I mentioned, our software track supports founders that are building solutions in the software space. And from a software industry perspective, we're fairly agnostic, but we're looking for industries that are interesting and are industries of strength for the Pittsburgh ecosystem. So we have a number of companies that range from software as a service platforms, like I had mentioned with our mental health software as a service company. We also work with companies in the AI space, and then companies in other subsectors as well. With AlphaLab, as I mentioned, we've been doing this since 2008. We have a number of successful alums, a few that are here on the screen that are alumni of our programs. Our AlphaLab robotics track operates as Robotics Factory. It's still, as I mentioned earlier, when AlphaLab Gear launched, was one of the first hardware accelerators to launch in the US. Similarly, with the Robotics Factory, this is one of the few accelerator focused on solely robotics startups. So, what we provide specifically in our shop, as I had touched on kind of at a high level, are access to critical tools, including CNC machines, 3D printers, laser cutters. We have an electronics fab center. We have water jet and still, buying more tools for robotics founders. We also have a very, very strong team in-house that works. We have folks that work full-time in our machine shop that can help train founders in using these tools. We also offer customized programming for robotics companies. And with our robotics track, we've had 2 cohorts that have gone through our program since we launched a couple of years ago. Our health track, as I mentioned, is in partnership with the Allegheny Health Network. And similar to the machine shop here with robotics factory companies, we also, for health track companies, we have lab space available to them, access to BSL-1 labs, shared lab equipment. In addition to that, access to AHN clinical experts in that network. We bring in an ecosystem of industry experts and mentors. We've done, I believe, five cohorts within AlphaLab Health. We've graduated about 30 companies to date, a number of them doing quite well, a few that are listed here. And finally, our gear track is really focused on physical product companies that are everywhere from deep tech solutions to consumer products, and products that are physical products that are solving big real world problems. So we provide, similar to the robotics factory, we provide a projection grade prototyping shop, our in-house access to our in-house engineers, and a number of companies here who are successful alums of our gear program. I want to go just a bit into our terms, our conditions, sort of what AlphaLab receives in return for companies participating in our program. First off, we make investments in all the companies that join our program. We invest up to $100,000. We invest that in 2 tranches. So each company that joins our program gets $50,000 up front in the form of an uncapped convertible note. We then set milestones with companies. These are critical milestones that a company aims to achieve in the roughly 5 to 6 months that they're with us. Companies that achieve those milestones, we invest an additional $50,000 at the end of the program. In addition to our investment, in return for all of these access to all of these tools, our program, our prototyping shop, our mentors, everything that we offer within the accelerator, we receive 2% common stock from participating companies. So common stock is very similar to is like founder stock. We invest alongside founders, so as they grow and dilute, we're alongside the founders on that ride. Our application, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. We have another question from the attendees. Sure. This person's just starting out. When they apply to the accelerator, do they have to pay to get in, like tuition at a college?
No. So it's I often compare founders who are considering, hey, should I start a company or should I go to business school or get an MBA? And the main difference is with that, schools will charge you, $100,000, often more, to get an MBA. We pay you $100,000. So we're making investments in the companies. The only thing we receive in addition to our investment is this small 2% equity stake. So there's no fee to apply. There's no fee to attend. We have no, upcharging or in-app purchases or hidden costs or anything like that. So this is, this first column here is this first row here are our investment terms. That's it.
Thank you.
Many accelerators do charge, so that's actually a very good question. That's not what we do. In terms of our timeline, we're planning to open up our application this spring, later this spring, for our next cohort, which is aiming to start at the beginning of the next calendar year. So we take our timeline can take roughly 6 months, or roughly 4 months once our application closes. So our application will close sometime later this summer, and we use that other time to finalize contracting. We're making investments in these companies, so it takes time to finalize those contracts. And we aim to get our investments in those companies very soon after the program starts. I think we have a slide later to walk through the specific timeline. Another one of the main benefits of our program is our follow-on funding mechanism. So as I mentioned, we're a part of Innovation Works AlphaLab is a program of Innovation Works. Innovation Works has a seed fund. Innovation Works can invest up to $800,000 in startup companies, including companies in our accelerator program. That's 800,000, not including the initial AlphaLab investment. I will note that these follow-on investment decisions aren't guaranteed. They're made independently, and they're aligned with outside investors, venture capitalists, angels, other. We like to invest alongside outside investors at that point. So as companies grow and are successful fundraising, we're able to monetarily continue to support companies that have gone through our program. As I mentioned, we're focused on Pittsburgh, so we have a commitment for companies to grow their businesses in Pittsburgh. We expect companies to maintain a significant presence in our region, to grow a company in our region as well. I love this chart because it shows the breadth and depth of alumni who have successfully completed our program and are growing. Just some awesome companies here in Western Pennsylvania. As I look back to some of the earlier companies that went through our accelerator program, including No Wait, it was acquired by Yelp, Shoe Fitter, that was acquired by Amazon, and two of our companies here, the Zebra and Formation Bio, are two unicorns that have got their start in AlphaLab and are now still private companies, but are worth over $1 billion. And a lot of companies that are, frankly, on that path now on this list. So we have a number of companies, tech companies here in Pittsburgh that are growing, that got their start here at AlphaLab. Just to touch on, our connection with Innovation Works, I mentioned that we provide seed investment business expertise. That's what our Innovation Works provides as a whole. AlphaLab is a program of Innovation Works and is the first sort of funding step of that support in our investment continuum. And innovation as a whole, we're part of the Ben Franklin Technology Partners. We have sister programs in the other quadrants of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that provide economic growth capital to companies in other regions. I mentioned this funding continuum, and here's sort of a visualization of that. We have AlphaLab, which is our sort of the first step in that continuum with our accelerator program. We have the Innovation Works Seed Fund, which provides early stage seed funding. I mentioned that investment vehicle can provide significant follow-on capital. I will note that I mentioned this sort of up to $800,000. That's never in one investment. Similar to venture capitalists, we make initial investments, which are a percentage of that total amount, and then we reserve funding for subsequent funding rounds. So we can make significant investments in sort of several rounds after the AlphaLab experience. We also have a venture fund called Riverfront Ventures. This is what I like to call our winner's pot. These are companies that have been successful going through, oftentimes through our accelerator program and through our seed fund, and are raising institutional investment from groups like venture capitalists. So we have the ability to make even sort of growth stage investments in companies. That fund can invest. Companies can apply directly to our venture fund. Companies that have sort of already gone past the accelerator and seed funding program. We have many examples of companies who have received funding from all three of these programs in our funding continuum.
Aaron, I have two more questions in the audience.
Sure.
The first question, do I have time to be in Pittsburgh? Do I have to be in Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania now to participate, or can I move if I get accepted?
You do not need to be here now. But in order to take advantage of our program, you would need to be in Pittsburgh for our program and adhere to the regional commitment I had touched on earlier. But no, you don't. About a third, about 30% of the companies that we recruit for our program move to Pittsburgh, relocate to Pittsburgh.
Thank you, Erin. I'm just going to ask the second question now. Is there overlap in companies that qualify for the accelerator and those that have been in business for some time, generating revenue but want to grow?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a rephrase. For companies that are already making some revenue but are looking to pursue additional funding, is there space in the accelerator for companies like that?
Sure. Yeah. So we work with, primarily early stage companies. We also work with a number of companies who are already in the market, who are already revenue generating, already have customers, and our program really helps drive sort of scale and growth for those companies. So some of our companies haven't hit the market yet, but have a lot of feedback from early customers to sort of prove demand. Others already have sort of shown proof of demand or have demand and have sort of early customer acquisition. And we can really help founders in that stage really think strategically about how to grow their businesses.
Thank you so much, Erin.
Some great questions. I appreciate it. These are some of the eligibility requirements. And just look at the time here. Companies need to be legally. So you mentioned, do I need to move? Can I be out of town, another state, and move to Pittsburgh? Yes. Companies, international applicants need to be a legally incorporated entity in the United States, and founders need to have the requisite work authorization to work within the United States. So that's the one kind of small caveat there. So if you're moving from any other place domestically, yes. If internationally, you need to adhere to these two requirements. We're not only looking for founders just to be here for our program, but to make a commitment to Pittsburgh. A lot of what we do and what we're measured on by our funders has to do with economic growth and development in our region. So naturally, we're looking for founders that see Pittsburgh as strategic to the growth of their companies as well. I mentioned a majority of accelerators have opened up flexibility in terms of being fully virtual, having, be only needing to come at kind of the bookends of the program. Our program requires in-person participation. So that is a unique characteristic of accelerators, but one that we feel, especially as I mentioned, getting all of our alumni feedback and what we've experienced here, it's critical to sort of what we offer and what we provide companies. So we do require companies to participate in person. Similarly, we need founders who can dedicate their full time and attention to the accelerator program. Our program does not work well for founders that currently have 9-to-5s, that currently have other significant time commitments. We understand founders often need to do other things to offset, starting a company, and we do have some flexibility there. That being said, a lot of the program that we provide are during the day, in the middles of the week. So we do need our founders we work with, our customers, to have significant time commitment so that they can extract all the benefits of our program. We received some questions around, would I qualify if I was this or if I was at this stage? This is really what we're looking for. I mentioned that not all the time founders have products in the market. They've still validated that there's a market need. sort of a clear, validated problem, have talked to potential users or buyers of their product and have determined that what they're thinking of building or are building really hits a core need for their customer. A unique solution, so like a novel solution or a novel view on the market. We understand that the startup world is very, very competitive with, likely if you're building a company, you'll have several founders in other cities building something similar. So we're really looking for like unique novel solution, compelling offer, proof of concept, early sort of proof in product in that regard. Preliminary business plan. So we're not talking a business plan in terms of a sort of a written, like founders used to do before they start their businesses, like write a super long business plan, but like a plan, like what you're hoping to do in the 6 months that you're in our AlphaLab program. We can't tell you what your general plan should be. You need to have already thought of that and have sort of a plan for growth. We look for motivated teams. We work with teams for 6 months. So to be honest, we want teams that are motivated, are fun to work with, are coachable, are dedicated, all of those things, and are willing to sort of give back to our community of founders as well. And of course, attacking large opportunities. When we look at a business, starting a company is hard enough. So if you win, if your company is successful and you win, we want to ensure that the prize is big enough for you, given, the odds are really stacked against early stage founders. So we're looking for large markets, companies innovating in large industries. I think I just have a few more slides here. This slide touches on our selection process. So as I mentioned, we'll be opening our application sometime in the next month or two. And our application will be open for at least a couple of months, up to 3 months. We have an online application. It's about 20 questions. It covers a lot of the things I shared on the last slide. It really assesses how the depth and breadth of how founders are thinking about their business, what they've accomplished to date. If you're interested in applying, you have a lot of time to review our application, to think it over. Once our application closes, we have a review period where our team and our experts review all the applicants. Then we do interviews. After our interviews, we may do some more market research, have follow-ups with the teams, but then ultimately we're making selections a couple of months before the program starts. And then after that, we select companies. We either reject companies or send offer letters to companies. So offer letters are sort of a summary of terms, like I just mentioned, and we provide these offer letters for companies that are sort of pending the completion of all of the diligence that we need to do, but that's sort of the last stage in our selection process. More fun slides. So if you want to learn more, we just, as I mentioned, we recently unified our programs under the one sort of main AlphaLab brand. In doing that, we've launched a new website, which you can check out, alphalab.org. You can also use this QR code to be relayed to more information about our program as well. Thank you for taking the time to hear about our program, our unique offerings, and how we support startups. I am happy. I think we have some time to take any additional questions.
Thank you so much, Aaron. We have a answered all the questions that we've received so far. So I'm just pausing so people can send in a few more if they have them.
Sure.
I do want to alert everyone that I did submit a link to our office hours in the webinar chat. This is a great opportunity to sign up for office hours to connect with someone on the Accelerator team that's a bit more related to your track and where you're looking to apply. So, go ahead and click this and consider if it's something you want to apply for after this webinar.
I'll just add, that's a great opportunity to ask your specific questions. When you sign up for office hours, you get routed to our track leaders, so you can ask, sector-specific questions, some of the specifics around each of our tracks as well. Well, great, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Again, if you have any questions or follow-ups, we're happy to chat. Thank you very much.